better teams year to year are great on offense. It is much easier to sustain great offense than it is a great defense. The Bears haven't had many great offenses, and it's no secret as to why they've struggled as much as they have in the last, call it, 30-ish years, where they've been to the playoffs in back-to-back seasons only once. These last 10 years, 11 years have been really rough. Not many winning seasons, not deep playoff runs, not a Super Bowl appearance, let alone a Super Bowl win. And they've had a bunch of pretty good defenses over that time. But if you're not going to be good on offense, if you're not going to be dangerous offensively, year in and year out, you are going to struggle. The history of the NFL here in recent years, like I said, tells us that. If you don't believe me, we probably can't help you. You could go try to educate yourself and do the research on your own. But it is a simple fact. The Bears have had a negative point differential in 9 of the last 11 seasons. They've been in the top half of the NFL in points only twice since 2013. They've been top half in the league in yards on offense only once. That was Tressman's first year in 2013. The Bears have not been in the top half. I'm not saying top 10. The Bears haven't been in the top half of the NFL in offensive yards in a season since 2013. Not even the 2018 team did that. They scored a lot of points. Their defense scored a lot. They put them in a lot of favorable positions. Look at their record since 2013. If you're not good on offense, you're not going to win in this league. Finally, I think we have an offense that we can be excited about. Now, a lot of this is predicated on Caleb being really good.
Being good, yes.
Yeah, like he's going to have to be good. But everything they've put around him, even an offensive line that might be trending in a more positive direction with development of Darnell Wright, maybe even Braxton Jones if he stays healthy for a first year, some tweaks at center. With Cole Kmet getting better, with the addition of Gerald Everett, DJ Moore's a bona fide stud. We're all high on Adunze. The addition of Keenan Allen, even if it's only for this year. This screams like productive offense. A coordinator that's called plays before. It's all screaming productive, good, dangerous, explosive offense.
It's screaming, hey, watch out, because we're going to be here, and we're going to be in every game. We're going to be competitive. And then you've got to find a way to win in the fourth quarter, which is usually the way it is. This team's had leads in the fourth quarter, and they find ways to blow them. Now this is, okay, we won a little bit in the second half last year. Now let's try to maintain some of what we learned over the second half of last year and bring it in here for the preseason. We know how to win games now. Now we got to go about the business of winning games.
Last year, the Bears were 21st in the NFL in EPA per play. That's expected points added per play. They were 19th in success rate. Over the past 5 seasons, they are 28th and 27th in those categories. Not good. Here are the top 5 teams in EPA per play since 2019. You ready, Yerk?
Yep.
Top 5, 1 through 5, in EPA per play since 2019. Chiefs, Packers, Bills, 49ers, and Ravens. Do you know what those teams have in common?
Playoff teams.
Playoff teams, yeah, but even something a little bit more specific. Those 5 teams that are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in EPA per play over the last 5 seasons have the 5 best winning percentages in the NFL over the last 5 years.
That's pretty good. You got to have an offense.
If you think it doesn't match up, the bottom 5 teams in EPA per play over the last 5 years are the Jets, Panthers, Giants, Commanders, and Bears. Those teams' winning percentages, 32nd, 31st, 29th, 28th, and 25th. So if you don't think there's a correlation, we're here to tell you there is. And I think the Bears should be pretty good on defense. I still wonder about what happens opposite of Montez Sweat, and will they generate a little bit more pressure than they did a year ago. Look, the Bears were still 30th. They were 31st in sacks with 30. Only the Panthers had fewer sacks on the season than the Bears. They didn't even have 2 sacks a game. And not a good sign, but it did get better as the season went on.
But that number was horrific.
Yeah.
At the halfway point until they got Montez Sweat. Then once they got Montez Sweat, then it started to work a little bit.
Yeah.
Opposite of Montez Sweat is DeMarcus Walker and Khalid Kareem. That's the 2-person depth chart at that left defensive end position. That's got to find a way to create some sort of pass rush. And that's the biggest question mark on this defense going in. Everything else I look at, I'm kind of okay. Billings, Dexter, Sweat, Edwards, Edmonds, Sanborn, and then the defensive backs, they explain themselves. They're fine. You got no issues. But you know what? They became better when?
When the pass rush got better. When
the pass rush got better.
Yeah, when the pass rush got better.
Then they got much better.
Can Austin Booker be like the sneaky, awesome rookie that the Bears need opposite of Sweat to? I mean, he's pretty raw, but like, is it possible that he's this year's Mark Anderson?
Yeah, they've got him lined up behind Montez Sweat, and then Dominique Robinson is over on that right side also. But you can mix those, and you'll probably have 7 active during the week.
What if he's this year's Mark Anderson? That'd be nice.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Jaylon Johnson made the list of top 10 corners going into the year. I don't think that's a surprise. Pat Surtain was number 1.
Sure.
I can get the full list up. Hold on. I think Sauce might have been 2 or 3. Obviously, Sauce is going to be pretty high on that list. Coming in at number 8 was Jaylon Johnson, and I'll read you this here real quick, Jurko. Everything came together for Johnson, who earned a 4-year, $76 million contract on the strength of his 2023 season. On 57 targets, Johnson allowed 33 catches for 286 yards and 1 touchdown while making 4 interceptions, producing a 17.5% ball hawk rate. No cornerback was hotter in the second half of the year. He was probably Chicago's best overall player. It was a good thing the Bears didn't trade him at the deadline as he requested. Competitive corner with man traits and excellent zone vision. Let me start that over.
Zone vision.
Competitive corner with man traits and excellent zone vision, one NFL personnel evaluator said. Physical and press and fluid at the break point. Showed more ball production last year. One thing he lacks is top-end recovery speed. That might be nitpicking a little, but all in all, pretty good player. Number 1, Pat Surtain. Number 2, Denzel Ward. Maybe surprised me a little. Sauce Gardner, 3. L'Jarius Sneed, 4. Remember, he was traded in the offseason just because they're worried about some cap issues, obviously, in Kansas City. Jalen Ramsey, 5. Trent McDuffie, fantastic. 6. It also makes it easier to trade an older player in Sneed when you have a young player like McDuffie in Kansas City. Jair Alexander, 7. Jaylon Johnson, as we mentioned, 8. Devin Witherspoon, the former Fighting Illini, who had a great year last year, 9. And Derek Stingley of the Texans, 10. Your honorable mentions, all pretty good ones. Marlon Humphrey. Trayvon Diggs, who's probably a little overrated in terms of his ability to cover as a corner. Yes, he's got some great ball hawking skills. And when the ball's in his hands, he's outstanding, right? Like, it's superfluous. We know that. He can really make things happen because he's just such a good athlete with the ball in his hands. And he could score touchdowns with the best of them. A.J. Terrell, Travarius Ward, Christian Gonzalez, who had a little bit of an injury-plagued season last year, but flashed as a rookie at times in New England, and Marshawn Lattimore still getting it done in New Orleans. Those are your honorable mentions. But Jaylon Johnson makes the grade. He makes the list, and I think that is very deserving. Does he deserve to be a little higher? I don't know. I feel like this is kind of like DJ Moore missing out, just barely missing out in the top 10. Some people a little bit more fired up about that than I was yesterday. I think we're quibbling a little bit. I could see maybe bumping Stephon Diggs off that list. I think he was in at 9 and putting DJ Moore there.
Yeah, I'm not
maybe
worried.
Moving Brandon Ayuk up one spot and putting DJ Moore in at 10. But again, I think we're kind of splitting hairs. Everybody knows DJ Moore's a star.
I don't worry so much about preseason rankings and where they belong as opposed to end-of-season rankings, what you actually did.
That's true.
That's my greater concern. Secondly, in the synopsis about Jaylon Johnson, they nailed it. They nailed it in the second half. He was a much better player. He was.
How much of that
because
is like
everybody was a better player in the second half of the season because of the addition of Montez Sweat.
How much of that is playing for a contract, and do you expect any fall off now that he's gotten it?
I think his confidence factor is up there. I think that he got confidence. The reason he played better last year also is because of the fact that he was confident. He was making that break on the ball where he'd bait into thinking he was going to jump on the route in the flat, and then he'd come back on the ball and make the interception. So he did that twice last year. He did it another couple times where he didn't get his hand on the ball, but he affected the throw. That's positive signs. That's what they say, zone vision right there.
Zone vision.
He had the zone vision to realize, all right, I'm going to make you think I'm going here, but I'm going to drop it. I'm going to retreat quick, get into the passing lane, and hopefully make an interception on you. So, I mean, it's there. Fine, you got somebody. I don't care if they ranked them 3rd, they ranked them 9th. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know.
As
hear
long
what you're
as
saying.
you play, you've got to come back out and play.
Play at a high level.
And I think he's got the confidence.
Yeah.
you know, when you start getting treated like a superstar in the league, and I think that's what was happening, and you're on with Colin Cowherd, you're out there, you're gallivanting and doing interviews all over the place, you start to feel pretty good about yourself. So the confidence is going to be there. Now you got to go out and you've got to reestablish it on the field. I don't think that's going to be a problem for him.
I love it when Jurko says Gallivant. I kept track of all of these.
I like Gallivant too.
So
you kept track of all the rankings?
All the rankings.
Yeah. So like,
so this should be
Sweat was
done.
in the top 10.
Well, they should be done, right? Unless
well, no, I thought they're doing O-line.
Unless we're doing, no, they already did O-line. Unless,
oh, yeah, that's right. They did. I'm sorry.
Unless we're doing kickers and punters,
no.
they're done. So to go through it real quick, on the defensive side, we got Jaylon Johnson. So you can either be ranked in the top 10.
Right.
You can either get an honorable mention, which is second best, or you can get votes,
right,
which is third best. So Jaylon Johnson was ranked 8th today.
Yep.
In linebacker, they had Tremaine Edmonds ranked 7th. TJ Edwards got an honorable mention.
Correct.
At safety, Brisker got votes.
Yep.
For defensive ends, Sweat got an honorable mention.
Oh, yeah, Sweat was honorable mention just outside
tackles,
top 10.
they had no mention. That's the defensive side. Quarterback, obviously none because Caleb's a rookie. Interior offensive lineman, they had none. Tackle, Darnell Wright got votes.
Yes, he did.
Wide receiver, DJ Moore got an honorable mention. Keenan Allen got votes. Tight end, Komet got an honorable mention. And at running back, DeAndre Swift got an honorable mention.
All right, and here's the thing, the biggest takeaway. And we talked a little bit about the offense and how we think it's going to be good, especially if Caleb is as good as we all hope. As Adam's reading down, like, are the different levels of the defense, guys that are being recognized for being extremely high performers at their position. How many times did we say in 2021, 2022, even at times across 2020, there are no real difference makers on that defense? You know, Eddie Jackson's decline, Khalil Mack slowing down. I know Khalil really bounced back in the last year and a half. I give him credit, but he ran into some tough injury time here post that unbelievable 2018 and first half of 2019.
His effectiveness lessened.
Khalil's effectiveness lessened. Eddie Jackson slowed down. Jaylon Johnson was young, trying to establish himself. They really didn't have great answers at corner. Where were the difference makers? Roquan obviously was a difference maker, but remember how we said, man, they don't have enough depth or difference makers at various levels of their defense. Now we're talking about difference makers at every level of their defense. That's how you build a good defense,
nice,
and that's nice, hopefully complemented by a great dynamic offense. But when you have a difference maker like Sweat, when you have a difference maker like you talked about how good TJ Edwards is for how little you pay him, Tremaine Edmonds, when you have a difference maker like Jaylon Johnson, hopefully Tyreek Stevenson, Jaquan Brisker, a Kyler Gordon, at every level of your defense. Kevin Byard, if he can return to his previous form, which has been an all-pro form in this league. You have difference makers at every level of your defense. That's why I think they can get to 9 or 10 wins.
And with one glaring hole, unless it gets filled.
Yeah, I hear you. I still wonder about that a little bit.
And it might be filled internally. I'm not, so development. You've got to account for some development. Your defensive backs are better because they've developed. Gordon, Brisker, Jaylon Johnson, right? They've all developed.
Yep.
Because they've played and they've experienced it. So you've got 1 year of experience for two guys in the middle. Hopefully, you got a full off season. You've got a full year with the weight program and the training program here. So hopefully that makes a difference when it comes to Dexter and Pickens.
It might be the one thing that prevents them, if they don't figure it out, opposite of Sweat, it might be the one thing that prevents them from being, going from a very good defense to like an elite defense. And I guess we'll see how that plays out. Your thoughts on anything we've been discussing, how good you think the offense can be, the developments of this defense and the various playmakers that they're starting to develop across all levels of their defense. 312-332-3776. It's Carmen and Jurko. We'll be right back.